Continuing with our video series on web scraping with Python, this video is going to talk about the BeautifulSoup module and how you can use it to navigate the HTML parse tree. So let's talk about what is a soup object using BeautifulSoup. Well, the soup object is an object that contains all of the information of the entire HTML page. In the previous videos, we showed how you could get HTML information from a website. This module in Python is going to let us convert that HTML into a data structure that we can kind of travel along and search through. So the soup object consists of a bunch of it consists of a navigatable tree of tag objects, and we'll get into that in just a moment. To set up to the first thing we're going to do when we use BeautifulSoup is we're going to import the BeautifulSoup method. And so the line here, from BS4 import BeautifulSoup. BS4 is the current BeautifulSoup library. BeautifulSoup is the method we will use that's going to convert the HTML into this parse tree object. Then we're going to create something called a soup. You can name it anything you want, but typically it's named soup. And set it equal to the BeautifulSoup method, where we pass in our HTML data, and then we can optionally pass in a parser that we want to use. BeautifulSoup is pretty good at trying to auto-detect the syntax that's passed into it, but since we are working with web pages, we can go ahead and specify we want to use the HTML parser to parse the HTML data. Now this soup object is going to contain an entire tree of tag objects. So what is a tag object? Well, a tag object is an object in Python that contains all of the information about that's contained inside an HTML tag. So for example, soup.head would represent the head HTML tag and all the information inside that. And we will see some examples in this video. Let's talk about the hierarchy of tags. How do we travel along our soup object here? Well, I have an example of an HTML file or some HTML code here where I have an HTML set of tags, a head tag, a body tag, some paragraph tags, some div tags, and they're organized in a hierarchical structure where the head and the body tags here are inside the HTML tags. So let's talk about the different relationships that we're going to be referring to in this video. Well, a parent relationship, a parent is a tag that another tag is inside of. So for example, if I look at the head tag here, the head tag is inside the HTML tag. So the HTML is the parent of the head tag. If I look at this paragraph tag right here, the body tag is the parent of the paragraph tag. Just like this paragraph tag is the parent of the div tag. Siblings. Tags that have a common parent are referred to as siblings. So for example, in this HTML tag, we have a head tag and a body tag. Both head and body are inside the HTML. So head and body are sibling tags. And then children are tags within a parent tag. So if I look at my body tag here, I can see that its children are the paragraph tags. And if I look at this paragraph tag right here, its children are the div tags. Okay. When we talk about attributes and values, certain HTML tags can have attribute value pairs attached to them. So for example, in this paragraph tag, I have the attribute ID, and it's set equal to the value first. So this is an attribute value inside a paragraph tag. When I talk about an element, I'm talking about either a tag or the string of text inside the tag. Both of these are elements of HTML. And a navigable string, I will probably miscall this a navigatable string. A navigable string is a string object that can be searched through. And so if I look at this head tag, the hello text inside it can be retrieved as a navigable string object in Python. All right, let's look at some of the common attributes of the tag object. We're going to be working with tags a bunch, so here are some of the components we can use to make our web scraping achievable. So the name attribute will tell you the name of a tag. So for example, if the tag was a paragraph tag, P, the name would be P. The .attrs returns a dictionary of the key value attributes of a tag. If I say tag dot and then have another tag name, what that does is that goes and retrieves the next tag inside the previous tag. So we can travel down into the HTML tree by typing a series of tag names. The .contents property returns a list of the children elements of the tag. The .text property returns a string of all the text inside that tag and inside all child tags within that tag. So you can think of the text property as removing all of the text content inside a tag. The .parent property gives you the parent tag of this tag. So we can use the new tag names to go into the HTML document, and we can use .parent to kind of work our way back out. The .next sibling and .previous sibling, this allows you to navigate horizontally or kind of through sibling elements. And just like that, or similarly, the .next element and .previous element allows you to walk through a set of tags and their text values. There are also these things called generators that we can use. Generators are useful if I want to set up a loop to iterate through a bunch of elements of a type. So what does that mean? Well, the tag.children, this children is a generator. I could use it in a loop such as for child in tag.children, and then I could loop through each of the child tags in this tag. Just tag.descendants gives you children and the children's children, so you can kind of walk deep into an HTML document. Tag.strings and tag.stripstrings allows you to loop through all of the string content inside your tag. Tag.parents, notice a lot of these are plural. Strings, descendants, tags.parents. This is a generator that lets you loop through all of the parents of a certain tag. The siblings and elements allow you to, again, loop through all of the siblings or elements of a tag. And we'll try to do an example of that at the end of this video. So here are some examples of how we might use these attribute values. So here's my HTML example here. And let's say I created a soup object using this HTML data. So if I were to type soup.p, P is a tag name. What I would do is inside my soup, I would retrieve the very first tag that matches that name. So my very first paragraph tag P, that would be what is returned when I say soup.p. I would return the tag, this paragraph tag, and all of the contents inside it. Now soup.p.name, I'm calling the name property of the P tag. Well, the name of this tag is just P. If I say soup.p.attrs, I'm retrieving the attributes of the first P tag. Well, the attributes here are ID is the attribute name, first is the value, so this would return a dictionary ID value. Soup.p.parent, I would retrieve the parent tag of this first P. So if I go to the first P and get its parent, this would return the body tag. P.contents would list would return a list of all the children tags of the P. So this first P tag right here has 2 children. So the P.contents would return a list containing 2 div tags. P.text would return all of the text within this paragraph tag. And notice that parse me and parse me too, this is text inside div tags inside the paragraph tag. Well, the .text retrieves all of the text within that paragraph tag. P.div, this is an example of going down one tag name and then down another tag name. So first I would go to my first P tag, and then I would go to my first div tag. So soup.p.div is giving me this first div tag. And if I say soup.p, and then I have a pair of square brackets and have an attribute name inside the square brackets, I'm saying I'm trying to return the value of this attribute of this tag. So I would go to my first P, find the ID attribute, and it would return the value first from that tag. Okay, this is probably maybe spinning your head a little bit. Let's look at some examples. So what I have here is I have a beautiful soup, I have an HTML page kind of created for us right here. So a little sample HTML web page. It starts with this HTML tag, ends with an HTML tag. I have a head tag, a body tag. I think I'm missing the bottom body tag, but I can fix that really quickly. There we go. So I have the body tag and some contents in between, some links, a table. And if I were to run this in Jupyter Notebook, I can render it like a web page. So I see I have a header, I have some text, I have some links, this little warning message, a little table floating in here. And I've recreated this HTML, or I've copied this HTML text down into my into a string. And I want to make sure I have that last body, and I think I don't. So let me fix this. Okay, but I just have this HTML file as a string of text in Python. Okay. First thing I'm going to do to try to start navigating through this sample web page is I'm going to import the BeautifulSoup library. So I'm going to say from BS4 import BeautifulSoup. We're going to import this BeautifulSoup method. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this HTML content into the BeautifulSoup method and return a soup object. So to create a soup object, I'm going to say soup is equal to BeautifulSoup. I'm going to pass in my HTML string value, and I'm going to say I want to parse this using the HTML.parser library. All right, and then we're going to run that. So let me just show you what the soup object looks like. If I just say soup here, soup is returning, well, it kind of looks like it's just returning the string value of the HTML. This HTML up here, I have HTML, then I have my head with a title in it. I see my HTML with my head with a title tag in it, and the rest of my work here. Okay. Now one thing you can do is that there is a method called prettify that can help you kind of, if you have condensed HTML code, if I say print soup.prettify, and you can call the prettify method from any tag you want. If I run that, it will show you kind of the HTML broken out into its hierarchy, and you can see what's inside other things. It just kind of strips it all kind of down for you. All right, but let's navigate this soup object. So I said soup dot. If I look at my soup here, let's see if I can extract some information here. Well, first I'm just going to say soup.html. What does that do? I'm going to use the HTML tag, and it just returns the full HTML tag, starting with the opening and closing HTML tag and all the content inside it. Now let's go down another tag. Inside my HTML, I have a head tag. So I can say soup.html.head. And when I run this, now I'm getting just the head tag inside the HTML tag. Now let's look at some of these attributes of a tag. Well, let me show you what a tag looks like. I'm going to say type and wrap it around this right here. We see this thing that we are getting is a BeautifulSoup tag object. All right. So from a tag object, I can get the tag's name, which is head, which we already knew. I can get the tag's parent. The parent tag is the HTML tag. So we see we get the HTML tag. So I can go down and up through this tree. I can get the head.text. And the text is giving me sample website. Let's go up and look at this the head tag here. Well, the head tag contains a title tag that contains some text. So when I get the text value from the head tag, I get all of the text, including the text inside tags, inside my head tag. Okay. So let's see, what does the attributes give me? Well, here it's giving me an empty dictionary, because if I look at my head tag, I do not have any attributes here. But if I do go down a little bit lower, I'm going to see I do have some tags with attributes. Now let's look at this span tag for example. Here I have multiple paragraphs, I have multiple div tags, but I only have one span tag in my whole HTML. To get to the span tag, I could say html.body.div and try to work my way down to the span tag, or I could just say, where's my code here? I could just say soup.span, okay, and it retrieves the span tag. What happens is whenever you use a tag name to navigate down into your tree, you are going to get the first instance of that tag. So in my soup, the first instance of span is right here. Now if I were to say HTML or soup.div, then I'm going to return this first div tag, not the second or the third. Okay? So now I'm down into my span tag. My span tag has a parent that is a div tag, and that parent has an attribute. So let's pull that out. So span.parent, the parent is the div tag, and now if I say .attrs, I see I retrieve a dictionary that contains the class attribute, and it has the warning value. So the div parent tag has the class attribute warning value. If I go back to my span tag should also have an attribute. It has a style equals color::red value. Let's see if we can get that. So my spans attributes is a style, is my attribute. My value is color::red. I can get the text of my span. This page is for demo only. If I look at my span tag, I can see the text inside my span tag is this page is for demo only. Okay? So this, I'm trying to demonstrate how you can kind of walk down a set of tags. All right, now let's look at let's navigate horizontally through a set of sibling tags. Here I have a UL element that has a bunch of these list item elements inside it. So let's navigate to my UL tag, for example. If I go to my UL tag, it has some list items. I'm going to navigate inward, and I'm going to get the first list item of my UL tag. Let's look at some of the contents of my UL tag. Okay, remember contents shows the children of a tag. So if I look at my unsorted list tag, its children are 3 list items tags. And here I have when I get the contents of my unsorted list, I get a collection of list items, 3 list items. Okay? If I navigate to an inner list item, and I get the first link is the Anaconda distribution link. Anaconda distribution. If I were to go and get its next sibling, notice that from my first list item, I then traveled to the next list item. So I got the Learn Python link. All right. And if I were to call next sibling again, for example, I should get the HTML cheat sheet. So I got the third link. So I'm from any tag in your HTML soup, you can travel to other tags from other tags. And there's lots of ways to get there. All right, let's talk about navigating back up the tree, just to show you some examples. Let's say I wanted to get to, let's see, if I wanted to get to this first paragraph tag, well, I could just go to, that's a bad example. Let's say I want to get to the second paragraph tag. In the second paragraph tag, I would have to go through a div and then get to the paragraph. So I could say soup.body.div.p, or I could say soup.div.p, but I could also say soup.ul.previous sibling, or I could say soup.li.parent.previous sibling. So there are lots of ways to kind of travel in and out of this tag. Let's try to get to this. I want to get to this div tag that has the sample table. The table tag looks like it's the only tag inside this HTML document. So if I go down here and say soup.table, I retrieve the table tag and all its contents. But I want to get the div tag before it. Okay, and before I could go to the first div tag and then try to navigate through the elements navigate through the siblings down, but I wanted to show you how you could go inward, work your way outward. So from the table tag, if I wanted this div tag, I could get the parent of the table. So I could say soup.table.parent, and I've navigated back from the table out to my div tag. I hope this makes sense of how you can navigate in and out of the tree. Navigating sideways along the tree, I did that with the siblings. Let's look at generators for a moment. Let's say I wanted to loop through all of the rows of my table tag. So what I could do is I could say, first I'm going to go soup.table, and soup.table has a bunch of rows in it. So if I just said .tr, I would get one of the rows. And if I said .contents, I could get a list of the rows. But what if I said table.children? This thing is showing it as a list iterator. But the way I can use this children attribute is as follows. I could say for child in soup.table.children, print child. And here I'm printing each row's tag inside that table tag. Now I could do exactly the same thing by saying soup.table.contents and get the same result. So it's just a different way of setting up your navigation. All right, I hope this kind of helps understand how you can use Beautiful Soup and how to navigate the parse tree of an HTML page. So in the next couple videos, we will look at some methods for searching for specific tags inside the parse tree using some methods. The whole goal of all of this is eventually we want to open a web page, find a specific set of data that I want to extract, and I can use all of these navigational tricks to find my way to where that data resides. All right.